Okay, so Tyler, so excited to be chatting with you today. So we're going to be talking about the Valentine's Day in Hell podcast. What can you tell us about the podcast and what fans can expect to hear on it?
So I think this is their I just got started with Jared's company, Audio Up, and this is my first kind of thing with them. They did a podcast called, there was another one about it being in hell a couple months ago, and I'm really good friends with Fem, and we have a few songs with each other, and she was like, hey, I'm doing this other podcast, and I think Jared and I want to write a song with you. And so I came down and I wrote a song with Jared and Fem called This Love Sucks. And we're going to be like performing it today. But other than that, Valentine's Day in Hell, it's all about just like, I didn't really, since I wasn't the actual podcast, I was just a part of the songwriting process. And I helped Fem out with some of her, cause she's in the podcast. So I helped her out with some of her dialogue and acting and all that. I only know like mostly her storyline, and it's just funny, dude. It's like weird and raunchy, and you get to hear some of your favorite artists talk shit on each other.
And I was going to ask you about the music because I read that you contributed music, and obviously you just brought that up. What can you tell us about that, and what was the songwriting process for you like on this?
It was really fun, super easy. Fem and I are like really used to writing songs with each other, and it's really easy for the two of us together. I was invited to this huge house, Jared's place, where they record record their podcasts and music. And I sat down with Jared and immediately wrote a verse with him. And he already had basically the song layout. He had the hook for the song written. He had the guitar and everything else. But I wrote the first verse, and then Fem and I wrote the second verse. And it was super easy. I had a lot of fun. Jared's really good producer and makes things just really fun to be around, and just like super easy and collaborative. He was stoked with every single idea that we came up with. And it was just a blast. I don't know. I had a lot of fun doing it.
And speaking about music, do you have any new songs coming out, or is there anything in the works for the future?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So my producer's John Feldman, who's from Goldfinger and produces Blink-182 and Avril Lavigne and all these huge bands. And I put out an EP last year with my band called 5 North. But this time we were going to go record a full-length album. But then I decided to kind of break it up into 2 EPs because I'm going to be releasing this music under my name, Tyler Posey, instead of a band. And so I'm just going to try to like test the waters, see how that does with an EP first, and then release another one. But I've got a song coming out soon, I think next month, with Fem and Travis Barker, and Blink-182 is my favorite band. So this is like a cool, crazy full circle thing that's happening. And yeah, I've got a lot of music coming out soon under my name. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to that.
That's pretty iconic. I love Blink-182, so that's awesome. Are there any other, like, who would be some of your top collaborations that you'd want to work with?
I mean, Blink-182 is the first, and so I've already got Travis on a record. So Mark Hoppus and Tom DeLonge. Let's just finish it off with the rest of Blink.
Bring back the original trio.
Yeah, exactly.
So kind of switching gears, this year marks the 10 years since Teen Wolf first aired, which is crazy to me because it feels like just yesterday.
Right.
Looking back at your time on the show, did you have any idea when you first signed on that this would blow up the way it did and be such an iconic role for yourself?
I don't know if anybody can know that, I mean, Teen Wolf is such a legendary name as it is because of Michael J. Fox's movie in the 80s. And so there already was a huge kind of cult following, but that cult was really sort of standoffish at first with our show because, when you do remakes, it's always like, oh, what the hell are they going to do? They're going to fuck up the show. But it just, I don't think anybody could have guessed that was going to happen. That show is such an iconic show now and so legendary, and I can't live it down, and I don't want to. Like I have fans every single day commenting on some of my pictures like, where's the next season? And it's like excessive and crazy and supportive and awesome, and it's just such a cult. So I had no idea I don't think anybody really had any idea. I mean, like, we knew it was going to be good. We knew on set that it was going to be fun, and we were getting really good stuff. But I think it was just the dynamic that all of us had as individuals, you know, not just our characters, but like real people outside of set that kind of just like created this sort of family vibe for the show and for fans. And I love it. I'm super grateful for it. And yeah, I don't think any of us had any idea that it was going to be so big.
And speaking of kind of the offset vibes, do you still keep in touch with any of your former co-stars like Dylan O'Brien or anyone like that?
I do, yeah. Dylan's one of my best friends. Will be until I die. We're born in the same year. We've got so much stuff in common. And we really, really, really love each other. And the respect for one another grows every single time we talk to each other. You know, it's fun getting older, growing older with somebody like that. You know, we met each other when we were 18. We'll be 30 this year. So it's just like this wild ride. And I love him so much. We keep in touch all the time. I see him whenever I can. Dylan Sprayberry, I keep in touch with. My roommate is, we used to work on Teen Wolf, not as an actor. So it's still pretty prevalent in my life.
And it seems like, especially even during the pandemic, there's been so many reboot after reboot, from Pretty Little Liars to Saved by the Bell. Would you ever be down to return as Scott if there was ever a Teen Wolf reboot, or maybe even just as a cameo if there was one?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've said since the very beginning that if there's ever a reboot, I would be so bummed if I wasn't a part of it. You know, I would love to either be like a full-time cast member or, like you said, you know, kind of cameo every now and then. But yeah, I would love that. I mean, Teen Wolf is already a reboot from the 80s movie. So this would be like a reboot of a reboot.
Reboot of a reboot. Pretty meta. We're trying to put this out there, putting out the positive vibes that there will be a reboot, because I know fans, it's like such a fan favorite cult classic, I feel like, especially online, with following and stuff. Last question, speaking of the fans, you've had so many fans that have been so supportive of you throughout the years. What's it like knowing that these people have been invested with both your personal life and your professional career?
It's a trip, man. It's definitely, so it can be really overwhelming at times, because I have all these people that are kind of like, I don't know, just following me on social media, and I go back and forth with love and hate for social media, because, you know, I feel like it kind of shows sort of like a fake side and like a fake happy sort of world. And so I really try my best to be honest and real on it. But then, you know, I just feel like it can be toxic sometimes. And so I want to be there for my fans more. I've just been kind of going through this lately. I want to, you know, they're just super supportive, like you said, and I want to give back more, and just not kind of like just be sitting there, you know. But there's also this like toxicity that comes with social media that I'm trying to like stay away from. So it's bizarre. It's a trip, you know, but I love it. I love seeing, they're all so sweet when I see them in person, out in the world, and they recognize me, and everyone's really, really, really cool. And I went through kind of like, at first it was awesome when I first started getting recognized by fans. And then I kind of went through like a weird depression about it, because like I just felt like I didn't have any privacy. And then I kind of became reclusive. And then I came to terms with it all, and felt a lot better about it, and would just be super grateful for every interaction that I had with them. But it's like a back and forth thing, because I want to do more for them, but I also want to keep my sanity, and somehow social media kind of takes away my sanity sometimes. So I'm just trying to juggle and like walk the line of like being there for them as much as I can, and giving back and showing them how much I appreciate them, while also, you know, like maintaining some sort of level head through this whole thing. So it's a fine line, and I'm still learning how to walk it. But I can't believe how loyal these people are. You know, it's so cool to see. I like, they recognize me in such crazy ways, you know, like through COVID, I'll have my mask on, and people will recognize me. I'm like, how the hell do you recognize me? And they say, it's my eyes, it's my voice. And so these people are super dedicated, and this show is a big part of their lives. And you know, and my personal life has become that with them too, because I'm kind of open about it on Instagram or whatever. So it's a trip, and it still just like warms my heart whenever, because the show hasn't been on in a while. So when people recognize me, I'm just like, oh, it's still out there and people still care, and it's just it's really cool. So I love it.
Yeah, I feel like there's certain shows like that where it's like a Teen Wolf or like Vampire Diaries, where it's just like you're forever in their hearts as those characters. So that's amazing. But last question, jumping back to the podcast, would you be able to describe the podcast using only 3 words?
Oh yeah, I think I did this at one point already. It's a romantic. Oh, what is it? A romantic comedy. I think show counts as one word because there's like a hyphen. A romantic comedy show.